York City of Hamburg, live at the We Don't Contemporary Freestyle. On the We're in the open space. We have a very, very fantastic artist, Atukwe, all the way from Ghana. Welcome to Refugee Radio.
Thank you for having me here too.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work?
Yeah, I'm Atukwe Cloty. I was born and raised and living in Ghana, Accra, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist who is interested in investigating migration from Europe to Africa, or global migration. And I'm interested in how migration has actually been a benefit of a particular system and the other system lose totally. So I'm interested in how it is easy for goods to migrate globally than humans. So what is stopping that kind of relationship? Because I think that the West benefits from the trade relationship, because if you look at colonization, the first colonization is when Europeans settled African soil. And that is how the development of the West began. So I'm interested in how Africans can we rise up and push ourselves to also benefit from that trade relationship. Because I'm looking at how much we import a lot of goods from Europe. They see them as aid, but it's actually affecting the African continent. Because they are not. Africa becomes like a dump end, where they dump all the unwanted stuff. So as an artist, I've come to realize that I should have a strategic way to trade back with those things that we import, that we don't have any place to put them. For instance, electronic gadgets and all that. It has become a problem back on the continent. So I'm interested as an artist to also transform those things into different functions and different value to trade back to the West. So I'm interested in transporting those materials back and forth and see how best Africa can benefit. So I'm interested in playing around migration concept. Yeah.
And how far have you taken this migration story and artistic work?
Yeah, I think that I've achieved so much which has encouraged me to step further, because I've been to Europe, different part of Europe, talking about the same issue, and I'm interested in how it is important as an artist from Africa to connect with the diaspora, because they have an information what they face through. Because we from the West, we from the African continent, we have different perspective. Because we think that they have a comfortable life as an African living abroad, which is not. So through my artistic practice, I engage them, and we come back and forth with ideas to develop my work. So I think that it has been good so far.
Bringing us now back to the situation in Europe at the moment, the migration situation has become a crisis.
Yeah.
Refugees coming from all across the board, from Asia, from Africa. From the eyes of an artist, what can you say about the refugee situation?
I think it's a very sad situation for me, because I think that if a refugee from somewhere migrates to another end, there should be sort of a proper relationship. Because if, like for instance, maybe Ghana is producing chocolate goes to America, they enjoy it. So why can't Ghanaians go to America? Because they are interested in benefiting from us, but not opening the borders for us to also benefit. So I think that there should be a kind of fair trade and a fair relationship, because they benefit from us many years ago. And that is how our system couldn't rise up. That is why Africa couldn't rise, because they took most of the good people, most of the strong physical people to develop their world. So I think that they should find ways to embrace each other, because we are not fighting for what they took way back from us. We are interested in also stepping further to also to be able to develop, learn, bring back to Africa to develop the country. So I think that there should be a way. I don't know, but I think that as an artist, looking deep into how strong artistic practice can push those barriers with my performance and my artistic, So I'm interested in promoting African art, because African art from many years, it used to be women carrying, pot, and it's all about nudity and all that. And I think that today Africa is not about that. We have established so much. We have content, So I want to explore into the Western system to change that cliche identity of who an African is or how Africa looks like. Yeah.
Changing the cliche, it brings me to, because we're talking one way now, Europe,
Yeah.
European leaders, Western leaders.
Yeah.
What about our African leaders on the other hand? Have you used your artistic work to challenge, to critique them also, because they are part of this problem? Because they accept everything the master says.
Exactly. Yeah.
And have you also used it to critique the people also, to like wake up, challenge our leaders so that our leaders can take a strong step against the Western?
Exactly. I have this mantra that I work with: think globally, act locally. So I first deal with my condition before I step further. And I've done a couple of performances which criticize politics, which was on TV like 2012 during Ghanaian election, which was very terrible and people paid attention because they thought I was actually paid for, and which is coming from my artistic practice, from myself. So I have a group called the Go Local. It's actually a local-based people that I engage in my practice. So what we did for 2012 election is that we went on the street, we peeled all the posters because there was a huge tension and everybody was scared, because the politicians were spending money to manipulate the youth for campaign trainings, and after they have nothing to offer. So what we did was, 4 days before the election, early morning, we went on the street, peeled all those political posters, and I created a costume with the posters, and each of my members imitate a political candidate with a suit and a tie, well dressed, and a briefcase. So we went on the streets, and actually I represent the youth and they represent the politicians. So they have strings tied to my hand, and they drag me with money, to create that awareness how the politicians only invest money in the youth during election. So we went on the street and did this performance for like an hour. And fortunately for us, we have one of the TV stations who is traveling to campaign on those political situations. So they filmed, and it was on TV like the whole week. So that actually serves how possible an artist can create awareness with his or her practice. So I think it creates a lot of attention, and people begin to regard and reference my work to different projects. So I think it's a first step, and I'm looking forward to next year election. With that, I have a couple of projects coming up, a performance, a very critical performance, because nobody, we have a system whereby people live outside the country, and they don't get those information. But through the artistic information, because we hijack space, we go on the streets, we don't give any notice, we just, perform, and people create dialogue, people speak about it, and it's become a global sense, So yeah, I've taken the challenge back in my country.
I feel you. We appreciate your work, and based on what we've seen here at Camp Nagal, We Don't Contemporary Post-Colonial Festival of Art, Dance and Theatre. It's fantastic, and we implore you to do more, and we appreciate
Thank you very much, and I'm really grateful to have me here in Hamburg. I respect. Yeah.